Should you use your wrists when you putt? That's a common question that I get asked by golfers looking to improve their putting who may have been told that they're not supposed to use their wrists at all. Well, today, with the help of the HackMotion wrist sensor, I'll show you how the wrists are involved in every single putt you hit. The key is to understanding whether that wrist motion is helping you or hurting you. So it may surprise you when I tell you that the wrists are involved in all putting strokes, even though you may not feel it and even though you may be actively trying to minimize how much you use your wrists. For us to see that, I just need to simply go ahead and hit a putt using the HackMotion wrist sensor, and I'm going to immediately get some feedback here on my stroke. There's a different number of metrics here that the app and the sensor is picking up. Today's video is going to focus very specifically on this face-on camera view and how we manage the flexion and extension of the wrist, which really is the delivery of the putter shaft lean. Am I flipping at the ball and adding shaft lean, or am I adding too much shaft lean and hitting the ball into the ground? That's something that you'll see good putters are able to manage, their ability to set up with some shaft lean, whether that's vertical or forward or back, and then deliver very much the same amount at impact. And that's important because if you want to be able to control your distance, you need to be able to deliver consistent loft when you hit the ball, meaning you don't want to decrease the loft you have at impact too much by flexing the wrist excessively, and you don't want to deliver an excessive amount of loft by leaning the shaft back where the wrist angles would change. You'll see there from the first couple of putts I've hit that flexion extension number is a tricky one for me to manage. I'll often find that as I swing back, I'll add too much flex to my wrist, and that can cause issues, not just with the shaft lean, but also the face angle. So it's something I'm constantly trying to manage and monitor. And there's quite a strong pattern to that in my stroke. You'll see that again, too much flexion. And I've hit these putts a similar distance here, but you could also hit putts across a different distance, even just a short putt here, just in front of me, just a couple of meters, and you'll still see that the pattern in my stroke is consistent. Now, that may or may not be the same for you. The first thing we need to do is measure what's going on. HackMotion is going to help you to do that. Once you notice there's a pattern here, and in my case, there's a pattern of struggling with managing the flexion and extension through the stroke, you're going to want to go through the drill and try to practice improving that skill. So I've hit my 5 putts there, and I can take a look at the app where the overview of my practice is ready, and it's clearly identifying that flexion extension piece as being my main issue. So if I click on that there, I'm going to be able to go ahead and fix this issue and work on the drill. So the drill here is to control the putter loft, control the amount of flexion extension I have in this wrist via a live drill that I can do on the app. So I'm going to go ahead and take my setup. The app's going to recognize that I'm in my setup position, and now it's ready for me to make a putt. And inside the drill, I'm actually getting some feedback with the vibration of the sensor when I'm moving out of range. So that was just me hitting another putt. You saw that the flexion was still very much in play. So this time around, I'm going to work on feeling like I don't add so much of this flexion, and I try to keep this wrist angle more stable. In my world, that's going to almost feel like I keep the cupping or the angle in the back of my wrist. So I'm ready to go. That felt very different to me, and actually it was too extended on that occasion. So I made the adjustment that I wanted to, or towards where I wanted to be. I slightly overdid it. That's good in a sense that I understood what I was trying to do there. I know the feel of, almost for me, feeling like I keep this handle back. Again, feel and real, as we know in golf, are very often different. Using the HackMotion to measure and then getting the feedback of exactly what's going on allows us to match up the feel and the real. So I'll try that again. Put my hand on the grip, stand still. It's ready for me to make a putt. And that one, I didn't get any feedback there at all in terms of vibration, and you can see that I managed to get that in range. That's a feeling for me that, as I say, is a little different to my typical stroke. It feels like I'm almost keeping the handle back, And you may need to experience a similar type of feeling if you have the same issue. Alternatively, you might need to actually feel like you push the handle more forward. But in any case, whatever it is, helping you to deliver more consistent loft delivery with your putter will result in you delivering more consistent ball speed on the green, and your ability to control distance will increase. So that's the reason this skill is important. Also, managing the amount of flexion extension through the stroke helps you to have more consistency to your timing and your rate of stroke, the pace of your stroke. You aren't going to be so susceptible to all of a sudden hitting one extremely hard almost by accident, just because you added too much of that extension too quickly, which gives the putter head too much velocity. If you're somebody who occasionally hits the ball way too far, much further than you expected to, chances are you're using this flexion extension piece in your stroke a little too violently. You need to reduce how much of that flexion extension happens and help you to produce a more evenly paced, symmetrical stroke, which will ultimately lead to better distance control. I'm going to try one more of those, and then I'm going to show you a drill that you could do if you struggled with this skill and weren't able to fix it yourself within the app. So there's that, me talking to you, not really thinking about the movement, I immediately felt that flexion kick in. So let me share with you that drill I was talking about, which you could use if you wanted to improve this area of your stroke. So for this drill, you're going to need 2 alignment sticks and 1 rubber band, and you're going to place the rubber band over the end of the 2 alignment sticks, wrapping it round multiple times until you secure the ends there of the alignment sticks in place. That's going to create these chopsticks, as I like to call this drill. These chopsticks where you can separate them here, have the cradle, or the base here of the sticks, and the 2 alignment sticks are going to go underneath your arms. Now, even without the putter here, you could just place your hands onto each stick and start to move your body in a putting stroke fashion, and I think you would immediately start to get a sense of how this drill helps to keep arms, body, wrists a lot more connected. There's a lot less ability to be separate in these movements. So this is connecting you together, helping you to move things more in unison. And once you've tried that, you could introduce the putter to the equation, whereby we place the base of the grip there, the top of the shaft, into the cradle of the chopsticks, so that the putter sits right in the center there. So we've got this nice unit of putter, chopsticks, arms, body, everything working together. And as I go ahead and take a look here at the app, I'm going to be able to go ahead and work my way through this drill again, but this time incorporating the chopsticks. So what I might try to begin with, before I hit my first putt, is to stand still at address and go ahead and make some strokes. And I can see, just from my visibility there on the app, I can see that I'm staying within the range of flexion extension. I'm staying inside the green. So now I've done that a few times, got a sense of what that feels like. Let me hold my setup position and go ahead and hit a putt. There's a little bit of a vibration there, but 1 degree too flexed. I can feel already that stroke is more stable and more repeatable. And what I'm getting as I practice this is a sense of how my body, my torso, is more responsible here for the motion. I'm not using quite so much of the wrist. I'm using more of the body. One degree too extended, so I'm certainly getting closer to the range. You remember when I was starting out without any help at all, I was 6, 7, even 8 degrees too flexed. So this is really helping me. And what you could also do as you continue to practice this is work this through putts of different distances, because as you move the putter over a bigger space, the likelihood is that the amount your wrists are involved is also going to change. So let me hit one that goes a bit further here. That ball definitely went a lot further, and although I was slightly too flexed again, I know for a fact that having the chopsticks drill here kept my stroke more connected than it would otherwise have been. Without the sticks, that flexion number would have increased significantly. And then I can finish up here hitting a short one. And for most people, you'd think that the shorter the distance, the easier it is to manage those wrist angles. I would tend to agree with that, and you'll see that in my own experience there. But actually, for a lot of golfers, it's when they get closest to the hole that they really start to struggle with this. They don't want the ball to go very far. They're not completely familiar with how to move the putter over such a short distance. And so these short putts are the ones where the wrists really do start to get too involved. Truth be told, the only way you'd really know that is if you were measuring using HackMotion and measuring across a different range of putts. There's so many benefits to working with this training aid when it comes to putting, and you could test this part of your stroke not just across different distances of putt, but even with different putters. If you weren't sure which putter you putted better with, you could test it across a different range of grips as well, and how you hold the club. So there really is no end to how much you can work on and refine your putting skills. I've made multiple putting videos for HackMotion. I'd encourage you to explore those. If you want to do that, you can click on the link that's in the description of this video.